Come on, man, just a few more reps. You got this. Well, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Tech Plant. Today is the big update on the Great Pothos race. We've been training really hard here. Let's check on our progress. Alright, if you're unfamiliar with what the Great Pothos race is, it is a race I entered in with Jeff from Everything Plants. Definitely check out his channel. We do release these videos in unison, so you can see the updates on his plant as well as mine. We are just a little bit over the halfway mark, so let's check on things and see how they're doing. As you just saw, we did leave off with me putting the plant in the hyperbolic time chamber just to speed things up. If it works for Goku, it'll work for Pothos. I believe this plant has been in there for about 15 days, and we do have 2 new leaves, and we are hitting the top of the pole, which is a little nerve-wracking for me because I only have so many of these prototypes made, meaning I'm going to have to make some more. However, something very peculiar is happening. We are finally getting some nice variegation. This thing is sitting at almost 80% humidity, and it usually gets about 80 degrees in there as well, so it's nice and toasty in the hyperbolic time chamber. We're going to put it back in there and see how much more it does in a little bit of time. Alright, about a week or two have passed, and you can see we're actually getting some really incredible growth, and luckily we are seeing a lot of variegation, which is making me really happy. This plant was looking very sad for a long time, but the new leaves are really starting to take off and look fantastic. However, we have reached the top of this pole, so we are going to have to add another addition. Luckily, I have, I think, 2 more of these before I have to make more. And so, first off, I want to try roughing it up a little bit and just see if that helps with the whole roots adhering and with it staying a little more wet. I do spray this almost daily while it's in the hyperbolic time chamber just to keep it nice and wet so it keeps rooting and has great humidity in those cracks. I am going to repot this plant just because I think it needs a little bit more weight in the bottom. Really, I don't know if it really needs a new pot for roots, but this thing's getting tall and heavy, so I need some more soil so it doesn't just fall over. And I can plant it a little deeper, which will help with the wood that's sort of rotting, but not a lot. I mean, it's actually done quite well for just being some bad pine. So far, it's held up pretty well for almost 7 months. This thing is supposed to be modular, so you would just use dowels. However, I don't have dowels again, so I'm using chopsticks with tape attached to it. I'm desperate sometimes, but anyways, you just slot it in there, and in my case, I'm stapling it together with a staple gun. But when I actually fit it with real dowels and the final finished non-prototype, the dowels should be enough tension to hold everything together nicely. Now, because I was a little lazy and slow to get this thing extended quick enough, it did grow above it, so I do want to strap it down to the new one in order to really get it to grip on. So I'm using the saran wrap method again, and in general, it seems to really help with getting long roots into those cracks, and once they get in the cracks, then they really start growing well. However, it just needs that little bit of help sometimes to get them in there. So that's what the saran wrap's for, just to get a good adherence because it's going to squeeze it to the pole, and hopefully we get another good start on the next chunk. Alright, some more time has passed. I'm not quite sure exactly how much, but it's probably been around 10 or 15 days, and you can see the growth is insane. The hyperbolic time chamber is just crazy in how fast it's actually responding to that heat and humidity. The leaves are gorgeous compared to anything that I grew outside of it. Even though I was using tons of light, it seems like that heat and humidity are just doing wonders for this plant. It is insane. I cannot be more excited about how awesome this is because it has blown away all my expectations. These leaves are getting huge. I'm pretty sure the largest leaf is about 7 inches long and about 5 inches wide, which is pretty darn big. And again, the variegation on these things is fantastic. I am curious how the roots are now that this thing has had some time to grow into the actual pole, so we should check those out. This is actually quite interesting to see the roots up close because you can see right where the 2 things are joined, how the plant was really starting to grow away from the pole, and I had to reattach it with that saran wrap, and you can see again right where it reattaches and starts going into those cracks. Like Jeff pointed out in an earlier video, the cracks have been really fantastic for guiding this plant up straight because the little roots end up going on both sides of the cracks and sort of riding one of the ridges up, and it does a fantastic job at guiding this plant upward. And those cracks give really awesome spots for the big, large aerial roots to go in, get fat, and then go down. It really does a wonderful job, and this thing is on there rock solid. Alright, about another 10 or 15 days. I think we're almost at about the 2-month mark then from our previous video. I'm not sure, maybe a little less. But either way, look at this beast. At this point, it's hard to even put it on the normal filming station because it's so tall, but the leaves are just incredible. I cannot believe how large they've actually gotten. The largest leaf is 8 inches long by 5 inches wide, and it just has beautiful coloring, and I don't know how large the new one's going to be, but I'm assuming much bigger. And the only bad thing is it did get damaged somehow. Not really sure, but either way, these leaves are spitting out this incredible variegation, and for whatever reason, the plant is becoming more and more compact as it roots properly into this pole. So I'm just ecstatic about how well things are working and how solid it is really on there. The only issue with this is it's actually quite difficult to see the roots because the way it sits in these cracks, the roots are pretty much hidden because they don't go out laterally, and instead they go into the actual wooden pole, and they just grab on hard. I mean, this thing is really difficult to pull. I don't think I could really separate this unless I tried really hard, and obviously I'm not going to do that because I don't want to damage it. But my point is, this thing just gets great traction on this board. It gets tons of roots just because it stays moist in those cracks, allowing them just to expand and expand more, and it's just insane. This thing has blown away my expectations. It's finally picking up pace, and I cannot wait to see where we get in the next few months because we don't have that many more left. Like I said earlier, this is a collaboration and a race with Everything Plants, so we do have to check out what Jeff did recently. The only sad thing is I can't comment on what he's about to release today because I have not seen it, but previously he did have some really interesting ways to sort of guide his plant after he noticed like what my poles were doing. He did this cool thing with pins, which really seemed to help a lot. It sort of like kept it straight on there. And I also really like the idea of him drilling the larger hole and putting dowels in there because I think that gives like more surface area for those roots really to grab on and wrap around. So I thought that was quite unique and pretty neat. He has had pretty bad luck with that darn like IV bag watering thing, which kind of cracks me up, and same with like just nicking the newest leaf every time. I hate to see those bad things happen just because I want us both to win this race, but it just cracks me up seeing like the trials and tribulations of like how our plants are growing in this race. This stuff just cracks me up. But anyways, his plant is looking fantastic and looking good, and I can't wait to see what he releases today. Well, that pretty much sums up this update on the Great Pothos race. I'm really enjoying this so far, and I'm really happy to see that the plants are starting to size up. I was a little nervous with that. By the time we hit the year mark, we'd still have these small plants, but I think by the end of this year, we're going to have some nice, beautiful plants, and I'm really looking forward to that. As always, guys, may your plants grow strong and healthy, keep experimenting, and I'll see you next time.